Well, hi, welcome back to Doc's Projects. Here's one of my latest projects that I just did, and I thought it didn't come out too bad. So I'll be showing you how I did this. This one I've got a little turtle right here that's swimming along near the beach. I thought that was kind of fun. So anyway, I hope you'll watch this, and please, if you do enjoy this, please consider subscribing. Hit the little subscribe button down at the bottom and hit the little bell. That means every time I create a new project of some kind that might be fun, it'll notify you that there's one to look at. I'm going to show you step by step how we do this finished product. I'm going to take this piece of wood, I mark the center. I'm going to make it an 18-inch round, so that means I'm going to go 9 inches out from that center. There's lots of ways that you can cut a perfect circle on this piece of wood. You saw where I put the screw in the center there. I've got this thing from Miles Craft. You can see the Miles Craft. I'll give them a shameless plug. I don't get anything from them for doing this, but it's kind of a neat tool. They've got some pretty cool tools. This one's called the Turnlock Circle Edge Guide. This allows me to make different adjustments, different lengths. A quick safety tip. Before you do anything like this with your router, got your wrenches in there, trying to do anything like that, make sure you unplug it. If you've been using it and you got to readjust something, unplug it during the duration. That takes away any possible chance of you accidentally hitting the button, causing it to take off while your wrenches or fingers are in there. Okay, I have the bit in there now, and I got it adjusted with all this by the time I have it together, that it goes just a little bit further out than the thickness of the wood. So I'll make sure I get all the way through the wood, but I won't go any further than that. Underneath the board, I put 3 smaller boards to give it a rise. That way it's off the table, so the bit will come around without digging into the table. Safety first. How sweet is that, huh? One of the first things I want to do is to protect the area from having all the glue and epoxy and everything else that's going to stream across it. So I use freezer paper. There's some of the main things that you're going to need to be able to do this. I haven't drawn out the pattern yet, but I wanted you to see the supplies. The dollar store, or Dollar Family, Dollar, whatever it's called, those are usually good places to buy a lot of these. Like $1.25. You get a stack of these type cups. You can also buy a bunch of these that come with little lids, which you don't necessarily need. But these are good for mixing up different types of paints. And of course I got these at the dollar store as well, or the Family Dollar. They're about $1.25 a piece. I picked this up at the dollar store as well, also about $1.25. This is nice for helping to spread things out. One thing I like about this being flexible is that I can spread it, set it aside, wipe it off, but if I don't wipe it off good enough, let it dry, and I simply bend it, and it cracks and peels right off. It comes back to the standard. So that makes it real nice for me to be able to smooth it out to the edges. Now I'm using acrylics, which are a lot less expensive than using the epoxy. I also have the epoxy that I'll be using, but the epoxy will come later. I want to put the colors down first the best I can, and then if I need to change a little bit of a color or to adjust a color, I can put that color into the epoxy that I mix up and pour over the top. And the epoxy will give it a nice smooth finish coat that's very hard and durable so people can set things on it. Forgot to mention about isopropyl alcohol. Alcohol is important, so if you really screwed the job up, you need a different kind of alcohol. But for this you need the isopropyl alcohol, not for drinking, so don't drink this. Anyway, I will use this to thin out the paint a little bit to help it flow. Okay, I may have forgotten to mention that you might need some brushes. So as you're brushing this on, it helps to have a brush. Unless you want to reenact your kindergarten days and just put your finger in there and smear it around. Why not? What the heck? Well, as luck would have it, my battery went dead in my camera. That's what I get for not paying closer attention to it. So I don't think you got to see the part where I put the sprinkles in. I had taken just a little bit of gold glitter, just a hair. And some nice gold glitter comes in pretty handy. And I figured that would help to put some sparkles into the system, where the sparkles might make it look kind of like the sparklies that you get at the beach. So I'm putting just a little bit more paint on here so it will stick. So you can kind of see how I did this. And just take a few at a time and up high, just kind of let them fall haphazardly where they're going to fall. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea what we're looking at there. So now I've mixed up and I'm going to put in the first part of the blue, which is going to be the lighter blue, which represents being close to the sand and being shallow. And then of course I want to come down the side with that same color. One thing about this, you can just kind of experiment and go back and forth, and if you don't like something, you can just rework it into something else. So we're just having some fun here. And you can make it to your own liking. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can do your own and make it whatever you want. And you can put yellow or orange or whatever else you want in there. It's yours, right? Darken it up just a little bit more. Getting into the deep blue sea part here. Let's see how that looks. A little bit darker. But hopefully you can see that this is just something that there's really no right or wrong to it, just your personal preference as far as what colors you want to use. But when we get into making the waves come in and look frothy with the white and stuff, that's where some of the trickier stuff is, and we'll show that here in a little bit. But for now, I'm just kind of throwing together something to make it the base of what I want it to be. Just wanted to show that it gets a little bit darker as it goes deeper and deeper. Now, there's a little weird technique as I kind of stroke across the two colors to kind of blend them together. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but I don't want it to be a straight line. I don't want to see a defining line between the two colors. I want to just gradually go from light to darker. Just a little bit more, what do you think? Sure. I heard you all in unison say, sure, give it some more purple. I'm thinking that's looking pretty good. I'll try to filter this in again because, again, like I said, I don't want to have a prominent line. I just want it to look like it gradually dips off deeper and deeper. I think I'm going to maybe think about putting a turtle. I'll show you how to make the turtle. So when you go on your computer, you search the internet for silhouettes of turtle. I think maybe I might go with the one on the top right. You can see by the size of my hand how big these are. I think for my choice, I'm probably going to end up using this one. I think I didn't do too bad of a job. Or should I put them off to the side? I think that's going to work out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get just a little bit of glue to kind of attach him down. Okay, I'm getting ready to work with the epoxy now, but speaking of turtles and epoxy, I wanted you to see one of the other creations that I've made. I put another video together showing how to do this. I'm going to do another one pretty soon where I'm going to do the same idea, but I'm going to put it with a dragonfly with some colorful wings. What I did here simply was I used my scroll saw, cut the holes out to match up all the patterns on the turtle, and I put it on a piece of wood, polished it up. After I cut the holes, I put it down on some wax paper so I had a nice backing, and I filled each hole that I created in with a different color epoxy. End up with a turtle, and when you put that up on a windowsill or something like that, the light shines through it, kind of nice. So I had some fun with that too. So keep an eye out for some of my other projects. I'll show you how to make some of these as well. Now let's get on to putting the epoxy to this. Okay, so for doing the epoxy, there's a couple of things I'm going to do. I've got some nice colors here from Blue Diamond. You can also get various colors in liquid as well, but I'm going to be using this to mix it up. First thing I'm going to do, a couple of cautions. Whatever you're putting your epoxy on, make sure that it's got a good seal to it. In this case, we have the paint that seals up the wood. If you're going to put epoxy on wood or anything that might be porous, the epoxy will soak in so much to the surface that it'll create a lot of bubbles. You end up with a lot of problems with bubbles coming up and you can never get rid of them. So if anything else, if you're going to put it on bare wood, make sure you spray it with some lacquer or some varnish or any kind of a sealant that helps to seal up the wood real good. Maybe even give it a couple of coats. Did that off screen because it's kind of boring to watch. Today's a perfect day for me to do this. We're in the Phoenix area. It's about 110 degrees outside today, so as I mentioned, being warm makes it thin and it makes it pour a lot easier. So now I'm going to mix this up as the clear first off. They say to do it for 3 to 5 minutes, so I'll probably speed this action up. Okay, set that aside for just a second. So now I'm just going to put the clear across this top part. Put enough in there so now I can spread it out and have it come over the edge. And I'm going to put a little bit of color in it. One thing I really like about using this metallic type stuff is it gives you that nice little striations of color, if that makes any sense, or the marbling, you might want to call it. Okay, so let's make sure I got plenty that comes to the sides so I can get the sides all covered up. I can use my hands too since I got the gloves on. And then I come up here and I want to mix this kind of together so it does some blending. Thinking that maybe I should put a little bit more blue on the turtle area, because he might be shining up a little bit too much. Looks like he's surfacing, but yet at the same time he's underneath. So maybe I'll put just a little bit of this darker stuff and blend it in a little more here. This is the point where you can look around and if you happen to see something stuck in there that shouldn't. So I think you can kind of see it. You can also see the glitter that I put under the beach, give the sparkle of the sand. You can take a toothpick and get in there. I'm using a little X-Acto knife to kind of pick out certain things. I happen to see where it looks like there's something stuck in it. Remove it that way. This is the time to do it before it starts to set up, because it's self-leveling very well. Okay, now I'm going to take the torch and you'll see how it bursts those bubbles. And once I've gone through and burst some of them out, it helps me to see some of the imperfections a little bit better. Little tiny imperfections, usually little pieces of dust or something that gets settled in. And there's a thread from my brush. Hit it with the torch again now. Let me bring the camera around so you can see some different angles here. So there we've got our turtle that's somewhat embedded in there. The edge looks nice and clean where it flowed over. I'm somewhat pleased with it. Now, of course, in a little bit, I'll be putting the waves to it. I'll put a white line across here, and then I'll blow it and make it look like waves crashing with the white frothiness. Let me change into my work clothes, and we'll get started on that. I didn't want to bore you with stirring all this stuff up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the clear first. I'm going to pour it over the beach scene. And then I'm going to switch to putting some blue in there. Kind of a mix between these two blues. Just put a coating over it. That'll have to give a nice three-dimensional look to the ocean part of it. It'll help to make the turtle look a little bit more submersed into the water rather than floating above it. And then I will use the last bit to put in some white. And with the white, I'm going to dribble a line of white across that way. Then I'm going to use my heat gun to blow it, spray it a little bit with some isopropyl alcohol. And then also after it's done, I'll spritz it a little bit because that makes little tiny bubbles pop in it. Gives that frothy look like the ocean has when the waves are crashing over. So I'm going to do this rather quick. Well, it's going to seem quick. It'll be long for me, but I'm going to speed up the film so that you can kind of get a feel for what's going on, and it won't take so long. So here we go. Waves in there, I think they turned out okay. I'm going to look for tiny little imperfections and things that might have gotten stuck in. Once in a while you just got to get your fingers into it, right? Okay, so I'm going to bring the camera around here in just a moment and show you what it looks like from all angles with the reflections from the light. Okay, you can kind of see in the reflection there. Looking pretty good. Over on this side you can get to see the glitter. So I'd say it looks pretty good. Now it's the waiting game. We will wait until either later tonight or tomorrow sometime. We'll take it off and we'll see how it looks. I'll take this fancy cover that I made with the wax paper. I'm real pleased with that. Okay, you get to see from a few different angles. Hopefully you can see some of the sparkles in the sand. Looking pretty good. And of course, there's our turtle. I'm hoping you can kind of see the depth where you can actually tell that he's submersed in there. And I did my best with the white frothing to make it look like waves that are crashing. Hopefully that came out fairly decent. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with the whole way this turns out. So, hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to subscribe. Let me know that you enjoyed it. Give me some comments if there's anything that you would like me to try to do. If I haven't done it before, I'll try it. And if I fail, I'll still show you what I did and why I failed. And if it's all successful, then you and I can do this together. So, hope you enjoyed. See you at the next video.